Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome to Gaming on Board. Tonight we're going to take a look at a game called Aspirations of Kalos by Orplex Studios. This is an awesome little two-player card game where you're battling over aspiration points in a world called Kalos. So you're going to be taking on the role of a champion, using certain relics and conjurations, fighting in different arenas to be the winner who has the most aspiration points at the end of their turn. So let's go down to the table and learn how to play. All right, so this is Aspirations of Kalos, and here we have three different foundation decks. We have Skyfall, Backstab, and Vengeance. Each foundation deck comes with 40 cards plus the champion. I went ahead and sleeved up all these cards so they don't get damaged, and let's choose two of them. We're gonna do Orion versus Juniper, and the first thing you're gonna do is locate your champion and see how many AP they begin the game with. So Orion, or Orion, I hope I'm not pronouncing that wrong, starts with 4. So you'll get yourself some type of die that goes up to at least 15. I'm using 20-sided spin down life counters, and set it to their starting AP. Juniper begins the game with 5. Go ahead and set those up. Then each player will shuffle their deck, and if you like, you can get the other player to cut it, just in case. Shuffle those up. Boom. So you have your champion, your deck, and each player is going to draw 7 cards. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's your starting hand. 7. All right. And then you'll roll some dice. I'm just using 2 d6s to see who goes first. So the player on the left rolled a 2. Player on the right definitely rolled more than 2. So whoever's the first player will not draw a card at the beginning of their turn, but normally every turn you're going to draw 1 card at the beginning of your turn. All right, so then after you've drawn your card, you can play cards from your hand as much as you are able and willing to, and we'll get into that shortly. And then, yeah, I got some really bad glare here, sorry. Then you can also use your champion, one of your champion's abilities, once per turn. So in the case of Juniper, this beautiful art, by the way. All these cards have beautiful art. In Juniper's case, you can gain 1 AP to draw a card. You can lose 2 AP to target a player and they discard 1 card at random, and then you get to draw 2 cards. And then the big one is lose 4 AP. Each player discards their hand and draws 5 cards. All right, so let's look at the cards. We have arenas, which can only be played on your turn, and each card will have the cost up here in the right hand corner. So in order to pay this cost, you will have to discard cards from your hand and or in any combination pay AP. So in our case, we started with 5 AP. We have 7 cards in our hand. So if we wanted to play this arena, we could, since it's our turn, and we'd have to pay 3 of any combination of cards or AP. So real quick, arenas, like I said, you can only play on your turn, and you can only have 1 in play at any time. So if you were to play another arena and you already had 1 out, you would have to discard the currently active arena in order to play the new one. Let's see, we also have a conjuration for 1. That's pretty good. Conjurations can be thought of as instants. These can be played at any time during any player's turn, and they are considered to be cast, just like arenas. Arenas and conjurations are cast cards, and you'll see why that's important here shortly. So this one also has an additional casting cost. So it has an additional cost to befall the Almighty, you have to discard a card. So we're going to have to pay 1 either through AP or by discarding a card. And no matter what, we're going to have to discard a card. Next, we have another conjuration, but this one is a negate. See how it says negate target cast? Down here it says non-relic, non-champion cards are cast. Okay, so this cannot counter a relic, which we haven't gotten to yet, and they cannot negate champion abilities or relic abilities. All right, so if the cast is negated this way, its controller loses 2 AP. It's a really good card. I like it. And then here we have another conjuration. So we talked about arenas, conjurations, when they can be played, how to pay for them. So on her turn, let's say she wants to put this arena out as soon as possible, because if a player would draw a card, they must first discard a card. So that'll hinder our opponent and help us get stuff into our discard pile as well. All right, so we're going to pay 1 AP because the cost for this is 3. So there's 1. And then we're going to, since we have 2 expirations, we'll get rid of one of those and that one. So that's 2 cards and 1 AP. That pays for this arena. And we can also use her ability once per turn. Let's draw a card. And that is plus 1 AP. So the AP we just spent, we get back. So I just turn these sideways to show that I've used the ability, and then boom, we go right back up to 5 AP. We could play some more cards, but we probably want to hang on to these. The game just started. So we'll say pass turn. Goes to the next player's turn. Let's look at his champion. His champion has a static ability that says whenever a card is put into your hand from the discard pile, you gain 1 aspiration point. His abilities are gain 2 AP, draw 2 cards. Lose 1 AP, return up to 2 cards from your discard pile to your hand. So you pay 1, return 2 to your hand, and you get 1 AP for each card that you put in your hand. So really that's only costing us, or actually we're gaining 1 AP to use that ability. So that's pretty good. Anyways, since they're the second player, they'll draw a card at the beginning of their turn. We got some conjurations here. Conjurations. Oh, let me go find a relic so I can show you. All right. Well, there we go. I was about to say, I know there's 2 of those in the deck. Okay, so let's just pretend that this is the card that we drew. So this is a relic. Relics can only be played on your turn, and they are not cast, so they cannot be negated. Also, they come out deactivated or exhausted, however you want to say it. So let's just say we went ahead and played this relic. It's going to cost us 1. He'll go ahead and go down. Or actually, let's get something in his graveyard. Or, sorry, I play a lot of Magic. So let's get something in his discard pile. So we'll use this to pay for this because the cost is only 1. So this comes out exhausted because we can't use it yet. But its ability says tribute, which in this game means sacrifice. So you'll sacrifice healing elixir to gain 2 aspiration points. But we can't do that until our next turn. So when it comes back to us, this will ready up, and then we can sacrifice that at any time to gain 2 aspiration points. All right, so but for the time being, we played that. Now, seek the stars. Let's see, we can use his ability, but first, let's play this free conjuration. Costs 0 to cast. All right, so we're casting that conjuration. We've announced that we're casting it. It is on the stack, okay? Now we go back to this player's hand. Remember, we have Fall from Grace here, which costs us 3. So let's go ahead and play that. Now notice, nothing has been paid for yet. He hasn't paid the cost. Well, this is 0. And the cost hasn't been paid here either. because we're still resolving this back and forth action. So now he played this, the other player responded. Now the priority's back to this player. See if he's got anything to negate that negate. It looks like he doesn't. So this resolves, and now it must be paid for. It's going to cost him 3. So what we could do is discard both of these cards and pay 1 AP, or we could just discard 1 and pay 2 AP, or just pay 3 AP. So we're definitely going to at least get rid of 1 card and go down to from 5 to 3 AP. And now this resolves, and the cast was negated, so its controller loses 2 aspiration points. This fizzles because it never resolved, and then this player will go down already, look at that, down to 2 AP. All right, next up, we still have 5 cards in our hand and 2 AP. So that was a little bit scary going down to 2 already. So let's go ahead and play Angelic Mercy. This costs us 2. Boom. I'm playing that. Priority goes over to the other player. He's got nothing. So this will resolve, and now it has to be paid for. The whole point is to gain aspiration points. So we're going to go ahead and get rid of these 2 cards to pay for that. And as soon as this resolves, we gain 3. So boom, we're right back up above where we were. And now here's the great part about Orion. We're going to use his -1. Takes us back down to 4. And we can return up to 2 cards from the discard pile to our hand. And for each one that we return, we gain an AP. So let's get that back. And get that back. 5, 6. There you go. So now we could continue the turn. Oh, we got to exhaust this because we used his ability. We could continue to cast cards. Target player loses 2 aspiration points. He's only got 1 card. We're pretty sure it's not a counter. So let's go ahead and play this for 1. Take us back down to 5. This player loses 2 aspiration points and goes down to 1. And you know what? Might as well just finish him off, right? Pay 1 more. Boom. He loses 2. But you're thinking, hey Josh, he's dead, right? He has no aspiration points. No, that's not correct. So he is at 0 aspiration points now. And then we pass turn, he ends his turn. Comes back to this player, ready up the champion. If he had any relics that weren't ready, those will be readied up. He'll draw a card. And this player is still in the game if he can bring his AP back up above 0 by the end of his turn. The only way you lose is if you end your turn with 0 AP. So, right off the bat, we're going to tap or exhaust Juniper to draw a card and get 1 AP. So we're back in the game now. Barely. He's over here with 4. So we can make him lose 2. Make him lose 2. All right, so yeah. So that's what we're going to do. So there's 2. Well, first, let's try to play that. He's got nothing to come back with. So that's going to cost us 1, which takes us back down to 0. Boom, boom. And then we don't have enough to cast this one, so that was a bad choice. So now Juniper loses the game. She could have just gained 1 AP and then she would have been fine. So anyways, that is a basic quick explanation of how to play Aspirations of Kalos. The important things to remember are you don't lose the game until you end your turn with less than 0 or less aspiration points. And you don't win the game until you end your turn with 15 or more aspiration points. Another important thing to remember is that when you're negating cards, you can continue to play negates back and forth until no one else wants to play any more negates. And then the final one that was played, they pay for that, player plays for that card. And all the other cards fizzle and are not paid for. And there you have it. So there's many different champions with different static abilities and different champion abilities. A bunch of different cards. There are cards that negate actual abilities. So this one here can negate arenas and conjurations, because those are cast. And it can also negate relic abilities and champion abilities. So this is a really good negate. It's like a universal negate. Just a bunch of really cool interactive cards to stop stuff from happening. Here's a good conjuration here. There's a few cards that pay you for having multiple copies in the discard pile. So yeah, there's a lot of good combos. I've seen some really good games go where you thought one player was going to win for sure, no doubt about it. And then it ends up going the complete opposite direction because of cool stuff like with Orion, where you can pull stuff out of the discard pile. It's just a really cool, fun game. And as you can see, it doesn't take too long to play. I mean, you can play a game in 10 minutes, or a game could go 30 minutes or more. It all depends on how you choose to play. So anyways, this is what the foundation deck boxes look like one more time. It's got a picture of the champion on the front, and on the back, a picture of the card itself with a little bit of flavor. So there you go. Hope you enjoyed this video. That's how to play Aspirations of Kalos by Oriplex Studios. Head on over to oriplexstudios.com to keep up to date on all the new Aspirations of Kalos news. And you should also be able to purchase the foundation decks, booster boxes, booster packs, all kinds of good stuff, Aspirations of Kalos, right there at oriplexstudios.com. Once again, thanks for watching, and as always, play all the games.